Hey, it's Dougie from Valto, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you my top 5 reasons that you should be using SharePoint for contract management systems. The first is version control. Now, this is a default system feature of SharePoint that you can enable in the background and has a few different options when it comes to configuration. Most people enable it so you can have both major and minor versions enabled. So let's take a look at that. As you can see here, we've got our version numbers displayed directly next to the documents. So I can see for each of these different contracts, I've got a version number here, 13.0, and for, say, the mobile contract, I've got 10.0. So each document will have its own version. And as I say, we can have both major and minor. A major version is a whole number like 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and a minor version is a draft of a document like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. And at the point of publication, and approving that kind of document to be a new major version, then it would increment to the next major version number. The other really useful fact when you're using the version control is that it will also give you a audit history, which is known as version history, so you can see exactly who has changed the document and when. So you can track the full changes for basically anything that changed on the document. You can see the version numbers being increased. You can see the date and time that it was changed, who it was changed by, and you can even go back and restore it from a previous point in time as well if you wanted to. So this is a fantastic reason why you should be considering SharePoint for your contract management system. The next reason is that you can have tags and use them as filters. Now, these are referred to as columns inside of a SharePoint document library, and within reason, you can have as many as you like. I typically recommend that you don't have more than, say, 3 to 5, because if you have too many, people don't tend to use them effectively, and it puts people off from actually making sure that you've got the right tags against the documents. As you can see here against each of our contracts, we have these columns where we can essentially use them as tags and then filter afterwards. So say, for example, here I've got this column which is called supplier, which is actually a lookup. So it's looking up a list of all the suppliers that I have, and then we're tagging the individual contracts with those suppliers. I can then use it as a filter by clicking on the drop down, clicking on filter by, and then selecting the name of a supplier. So say, for example, Contoso, click on apply, and then I can see all the contracts which are being tagged with the supplier of Contoso. Another fantastic reason why you should be considering using SharePoint for your contract management system is the fact that we can use Power Automate workflows to build out business logic, such as approval processes. Now, this could be done in a number of different ways. We could have it based on, for example, when a document is being published and we're submitting it for essentially to get the next major version number. It could automatically be sent for approval. Or we might want to just have a manual step. So, say, for example, if I wanted to manually send this contract for an approval, I can click on this button here. So I can see the status, and it's actually part of the button. So I click on that. I can then type in someone's name of it is that I'm wanting to get approval from, put maybe some details in here to say I've updated the contract in section 3 and 4, whatever it is, and then click on submit, and then that will then automatically send an approval request to the person that we put into that box for that particular contract. Now, the approvals can either come through as emails, or most commonly now they come through via Microsoft Teams, as everyone's using that as their kind of one-stop shop, as the place that they do their daily work. So we can see the approvals appearing in there as well. So here you go. Here's the little example. I submitted the IT services contract, and I can see now, because I put myself as the approver, it's come through to me, but I could send it to whoever I like. I could put any comments in here, say, yes, this looks great. Good. And then click on either approve or reject. Click on approve. That'll then mark it as approved, and it'll also go back into SharePoint and mark the approval as complete. So as you can see, back in SharePoint now, that contract that I just marked as approved has now been marked as approved again in SharePoint, and it means I can easily filter to actually find anything which is not submitted, requested, or approved. So I could filter by approved and see all the contracts which I have recently approved. I should also mention that we do offer a free SharePoint consultation. There's a link in the description below where you can click to get in contact with us via contact form. We also offer a pre-built contract management system inside of SharePoint, showing basically exactly what I've shown you today, pre-built that we can install directly into your SharePoint for a fixed price. Just on the topic, as we were before, of workflows, it's not just about approval workflows. We can also build in a whole host of different types of workflows using Power Automate. Our pre-built contract management system also comes with a reminders workflow. So basically what this is going to do is look at the key dates which are associated to the contract and then send out reminders based on that. So as you can see, we've got a number of date fields here. We've got the effective date, we've got the cancellation reminder date, and we've got the expiry date. Now, we just have these dates here because it makes it a lot more obvious of what those are, but actually the workflow could potentially be calculating those in the background. So if it was just, say, for example, the expiry date, and we knew the cancellation reminder was supposed to go out a month before, we could automatically calculate that if we wanted to. And actually, sometimes different types of contracts will need to be reviewed on a more frequent basis than others. So we could even add a column into here to tag it with the frequency of which that contract needs to be reviewed. But actually, as long as we've got the key kind of information of like what the effective date is, the expiry date, we can easily build those reminder workflows to notify specific people. We could even go one step further if we wanted to. We could tag in columns against this SharePoint document library who we wanted to be notified when the expiry date was coming up. Because again, it's not always exactly the same person that is dealing with every single contract. Maybe there's different areas, different departments that are dealing with different contracts. So you might want to specify who it is that is going to get notified when that contract was due to be expired. And then the final thing that I want to mention, and the final reason why you should be using SharePoint as your contract management system, is how easy it is to share contracts and documents from SharePoint, both internally and externally. You don't have to pay for any additional licenses to share contracts externally. So if you wanted to work on the contract or at least share a copy of it to the supplier, for example, you can do this directly from SharePoint. You don't need any additional licenses or any additional costs or anything like that. You can even bring them in to your SharePoint. If you wanted them to make any amendments to the contract or sign a contract or put any details into it, you can share a link to them and they can do all of this via working with the document inside of SharePoint. Of course, it's not just external parties which are going to be working on these contracts. We also have our colleagues that might want to collaborate and work on these documents with us together. And that's what we refer to as co-authoring. It means that multiple people can edit the same document at the same time. And the version history will keep up with that. It will know who's changing documents. But I just want to show you how simple it is to share a document. Once we select a document or a contract here, we just click on that share button across the top. And what that will do is it'll pop out a little message and it will ask us to choose who it is that we want to share this with. Now, there's a couple of different options. On this particular site, we don't have it enabled for external access. If we did, there'd be another option above this which would say anyone. It means we can share it with anyone in the world who has access to that particular link. Or we can say people in Valto. So if you are an Valto employee and you have a Valto email address, you'll be able to use this link to access this contract. We say only people with existing access, and quite often under the contracts management area, it's only key kind of people in the organization that would need access to this already. Or we can say people that I choose, so I can individually specify who I want to share this with. In this case, I want to share it out to everybody. I'll potentially be sharing it in an email or maybe a Teams message to all of my colleagues to say, please come and have a look at this particular contract. We can also specify whether they can edit it, whether they can just review it, which means they can only put suggestions of changes. They can't actually make any edits, or they can just view it, which means they can't make any changes or any reviews or anything like that. They can just look at the document. We can even specify that they can't download it as well. So say, for example, you're sharing this externally, you don't want people to take a copy of it, you just want them to be able to view it online. You can choose to essentially stop them from downloading the document as well. We also have the option of setting an expiration date, so that link will only work for the time period that you give it. I hope you found this video useful. As I said, we do offer a free SharePoint consultation and we do have a fixed price for deploying a ready-made contract management system with all the features that we discussed today. There's a link in the description below. Click on that. It'll take you to a contact form, fill out your details, and we'll book in a free consultation with you. Of course, like this video and subscribe to our channel for more SharePoint related content.